Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I am the food enthusiast here at J Moore Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live, just drop any of your questions or comments into the comment section, and you will see me look to the side from time to time to view your questions for our guests. PBS's The Great American Recipe Home Cooking Culinary Competition finale is tomorrow night, August 12th at 9 p.m. on your PBS stations. Today we have one of the three finalists, Robin Daumit. This late-in-life career-changing woman from 35, 40 years as a hairdresser to at age 60 becoming a food and lifestyle influencer with her website, whiskanddine.com, full of recipes, full of lifestyle tips. She is amazing. Her being is food to the core, and it is this passion that landed her 3 feature competitions on the Food Network and her talent as a finalist on the PBS, The Great American Recipe. Let's welcome Robin Daumit.
Wow, you're going to make me cry. That's quite an introduction. Thank you, Dara.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. I worked hours upon hours on it, Robin. So, Robin, what's on your plate today other than this interview?
What's on my plate today? I have one more recipe that I want to have up on my blog before the finale is finished, because I've been sharing my recipes as we've gone along. Because the cookbook will be out in August, but I wanted to make sure that the followers could get a hold of at least what I've cooked. So I have something special that's in the finale. I can't tell you what it is, but that's what I'll be cooking this afternoon to make sure I can photograph it and have it available on my blog.
Right. And you know what? I went on this site because I remember seeing the cookbook and they said the winner's recipe was going to be the cover. And I went and I looked and they don't have it on there yet.
No.
I was trying to circumvent the show and see if I could find out.
Saturday morning, probably.
Saturday morning, absolutely. And the Great American Recipe, the format is so similar to the Great British Bake Off. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's a huge, big barn built, I think, specifically just for this competition. It's in Virginia. And you filmed it almost a year ago, September 2021?
Yes, we did.
How did you get on the show, and what was the typical day of filming? Was it just one day competition and a day off? Fill us in.
Well, I was contacted through Instagram, through a message, asking me to consider submitting an application for the show. And I came back and said, "Is this a scam? Who are you?" And so I had to do my little due diligence and find out who they were. And I think they were in the casting part of the show. So I did, and within about 48 hours, my paperwork was starting to go in, and the process of vetting us begins. We were asked to be available for 20 days, though any one of us could leave, a day after we're on set because we're finished cooking. So fortunately, because I'm in the finale, I was there for 20 days. And it was just, I've done Food Network shows before, and they are a one day. You go and the show is done in a day. And this was just really an opportunity to unfold stories, to share recipes on a grander scale rather than just do one thing and then be done. So it made it more exciting. It made it more real. It was like reading a book. You were waiting for the next page to turn to see what was going to happen next.
I'm sorry about the little jiggle. A phone came in, it was a spam, and it just set things off here. But
Okay.
20 days.
20 days.
20 days. Now, last week I had Scott Fisher on, and he had been on MasterChef first season. And he explained that the contestants, it was isolation from the other contestants. I'm trying to adjust this here. Let's see. There we go.
Two of us were also MasterChef contestants at one time too, and they said it was really quite a commitment.
Right. So, but he said that they had a psychologist or psychiatrist that you spoke to.
Yeah.
If you exited, because a lot of people base their hopes and dreams, and it was very traumatic if they didn't make it through.
That's true.
It didn't seem that way with the Great American Recipe. It seemed to be that there was a camaraderie that you all shared commonality and talked, and you weren't confined individually.
No.
Am I right?
We were all able to socialize together in the hotel, but because of COVID, we were also we were not allowed to leave our hotel to go off shopping or go to a restaurant or anything when we were not filming. So we were confined to a lovely hotel that had a golf course behind it, so you could go walk on the golf course. But we were to be in masks at all times. We had COVID testing every other day, so that kind of changed maybe the complexity of it a little bit. But our group clicked very quickly. It was just really a fun group of really diverse people, different ages, different backgrounds, different sense of humor and talent, different reasons for why each person was there. So that was nice.
Everybody brought an ethnic background in some way that came from their original roots. Mexican, Vietnamese, Korean, Italian, Puerto Rican, Filipino, yours being Syrian cuisine, your second generation. Tell people what some of the key flavors are in Syrian food. What are things people should know about Syrian food?
I pretty much held the space for Mediterranean food because when I sent my application in, I said, of course, I grew up in a Syrian household. But all my mother's friends were Greek and Italian and Arabs. And so basically we covered the whole Mediterranean as far as what we cooked in our home. And so that gave me the freedom to be able to prepare lots of dishes that are Mediterranean based. For me, they're the best ingredients in the world, but I guess every one of us felt that way. You know, you've got real olive oil, real honey, and you've got, you know, cheeses that are made from sheep and goat milk and beautiful tomatoes and herbs. And you know, we make our own spice mixes, and it's just really healthy cooking. A lot of seafood, lamb, goat. You know, just sort of depends on the area where it is.
Well, the lamb one you grated, Cord, your rack of lamb.
Oh my goodness, that one was my tearjerker for me because my second eldest son, taught me how to make that, and he executes it beautifully for me.
Well, you got kudos anyhow for it that day, and that with a mustard rub.
Yep.
One of the things that there's no right or wrong answer to this, but I feel like yours, I think when we look at the finalists being Fu, who's Vietnamese, and Sylvia, who's Mexican, they have very strong flavor profiles.
Yes, they do.
And Syrian is very like Mediterranean, it's very subtle. There's nothing that screams at you. There's no fish sauce. There's no hot sauce.
Right.
So you know, just a personal thing, I love Vietnamese because it has a very fresh taste to it. But I think you're doing battle with two very strong profiles. But you've made it. You wanted to go the full time, do all the recipes that you brought to the table. Mm-hmm. And I think what I saw in one of your videos is tomorrow night at the finale, you were doing your best dishes. You had it up your sleeve and you're all set. So we're going to remind people to tune in to PBS tomorrow night at 9 p.m. for the Great American Recipe. But I don't want to discount all that you do on your website, which is whiskanddine.com. And there are numerous recipes.
Yes.
You've done 2 cookbooks.
Yes.
You've done, as a hairdresser, you did a book. Are you pulling them all out? Okay. Whisk and Dine. All right, we're all set. Everybody that's floating up, There we go. Let's see. If you could only eat one style of food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Always Mediterranean. Everything. If I was on a show like Chopped and they gave me a bunch of ingredients, I would somehow turn it into a Mediterranean dish, as I did with Foo when we had recipe swap on the show.
Right.
I got Foo's recipe for a Vietnamese dish. We were told we could put our own twist on it. I sold beautiful fish. I sold tomatoes. I sold basil, and we're going Mediterranean with this. So,
but didn't you use a little bit of fish sauce then?
I did. I used it because it was in his recipe, and I put it in the tomato sauce, and it added. By using that, I didn't need to use salt, so it added that little extra savory taste to it, which really I think I would use that again at home. I liked that.
Yeah, I like doing like a nom plum, which is basically their dipping sauce with lime and fish sauce and shredded carrots. And I love that. That's a very fresh taste. Okay, so I want to tell people that you not only write books, you have a garden. You are a producer, editor, film executive for all these cooking demos that you do. And why don't you tell people how you do it? This show, the website has amazing videos, very well done recipes, even telling you equipment you should have, which you don't get in most recipes. Tell them about the process of how long it takes you. You have a recipe coming up. What is your process? How long will it take? Floor is yours.
Wow. My eldest son is the one who inspired me to start a food blog. And he said, Mom, this is what you do so well. Everybody wants your recipes, but I'm going, and he's in LA, and, he's cool and techie and everything. And he's a graphic designer as well. And he said, I'm going to encourage you to go the route of videos. And this was back in 2015. And so I said, okay, how am I going to do that? He says, you're going to take some tutorials and some classes, and you're going to figure out how to do it. And I did. And the more I got into it, I realized I have a real passion for visual storytelling. I think of life maybe through the eyes of an artist. I think everything has to have a little bling, has to have something that captures a person's eye. And so when I'm going to do a recipe, I create the recipe first. And then you got to gather ingredients. I want to make sure I photograph the ingredients because I want it to be quick and easy for people to see what's going in. I started out doing long videos where you show how to put everything in. And my kids said, Mom, nobody cares about how long it takes you to pour this in. This. And so I've changed my style as I go along because I realize that people want to see it quickly. By the time I have finished filming it, it's been about maybe 8 hours, 10 hours throughout the course of the day. And then I have to write it all down, put a story with it. Then I upload the film on YouTube. I bring that to my blog. And then from there, it goes on my Instagram page. It goes on my Twitter page. It goes on my TikTok page. Facebook page. So I just put it out there because and Pinterest. I have a huge collection on Pinterest of my recipes, which gives you a little quick window of the ingredients. So when you open it, you just see what's in it. Okay. If you're interested, then you can go back to the blog and get the whole recipe there.
But I mean, just to tell people, okay, let's see, can I read my own? Here are some of the recipes: healthy banana bread, grilled shrimp salad, Japanese fried shrimp balls, cold Greek cucumber soup, spanakopita burgers, heirloom lemon cucumber salad, smoked okra, and salmon salad. Those are just some of the recipes. So it's not all Mediterranean. And the recipes, the videos, everything you need to know is there. And I have to say that you do your own garden.
I do.
Okay.
There's a lot of my recipes for the summer.
Right. And I haven't heard lemon cucumber since my father had his own garden.
Oh, my goodness.
Years ago. He used to grow the lemon cucumbers. He had, he says, here, take some tomatoes. I said, I don't need any more. I'd be going off to my apartment. There we go. Okay.
Cumin,
Got
put
it.
it, so there you go. Lemon cucumber soup. I have never grown these
Okay.
before. It was the first year to do it. And they were so whimsical that I said, I'm making a cold cucumber soup, which is kind of like the Greek tzatziki with yogurt and dill and all that in there. And then I scooped everything out and I used this adorable little cucumber as the bowl. So that inspired me. I would never have thought to do that, except I grew it.
Yeah. I mean, my father used to hide vegetables in my car because there were so many. There was so much. And that I sort of miss. I was never good in the garden. Do you work out? Because you were very trim. You were very trim.
Thanks for saying that. From the time I was pregnant with my first child, I took to swimming. And before that, I really never did because I had this curly hair. And once it got wet, there was no straightening it. But when you get pregnant, your life changes and your mind changes. And I started swimming then. And that's what I pretty much do. I can't do it in the wintertime here now. I used to go to an indoor pool, but they're so crowded now, you can't get in. But swimming is what I do. And in the wintertime, I have a rowing machine. And so I row in the winter and I swim in the summer. I need water. I'm a Sagittarius, a fire sign. And I think the water helps kind of cool me down a little bit.
Right. Well, I'm now in an apartment and we happen to have a lovely pool and we're lucky enough to have lifeguards, though a lot of the places didn't. And the pool is surprisingly large. So I'm not quite in the best of shape, but I'll do 2 big laps, backstroke, swim, and then I might get into Mr. Floaty. I have this little thing and sit there and move my arms, and I have a friend and we walk back and forth in the pool. But it is the best exercise. It doesn't inflame your joints. But we digress. Let's see. If you told me 10 years ago that I would be hosting an interview show about food, I would have said, pistache. Absolutely not. You will be 70 this year. You have an active career in television and your fingers in a lot of pies, literally and figuratively. You say the world should embrace the concept that dreams have no expiration date. You said, if Julia can do it, I can. So we were talking earlier, you want your own show, but do you want to do a show for somebody else and be the producer? If given the choice, what do you want?
I have concepts and ideas about what I think people would like, and I would like to be a part of that. And if that means sharing the idea with a producer or being in it, either way, that is sort of where I'm leaning towards. I have written a script for a television series, and it is really based on my 40 years of being a hairdresser. And it really ties a lot into how this show has been embraced, not just for its food. I've had more people on my social media tell me I've had to watch the show with tissue. My heart has been touched on various different issues because each one of us were really encouraged to bring stories about our life, each of our different experiences on set. They were great at making us cry when we least expect. We're on a time clock trying to hurry up and cook, and then they hit that spot in your heart that
Right.
just makes you. And for that reason, I think that people want to enjoy or hear or be a part of people's lives and their stories. So yes, I have. I'll show it to you. I've even designed the cover for it. It's called "Tell Me About It."
And that was your book about hairdressing?
Yes. I wrote a book that I published about that. And then when COVID first hit, I took the book apart and I spent that time teaching myself how to write professional scripts for television. And then I turned this into a script and took it way beyond what was in the book. And it's nested stories about people's lives as they come into the salon. And that episode is a spinoff of their story. And then you come back to the salon at the end of that story. Meanwhile, the person who owns the salon, which would be me, their life.
Of course.
it weaves in and out under the nested stories. And she has some stories about her life that are still secret to this day. And those will quietly unfold because they are almost unbelievable.
Well, look, I look at your life. You have 4 children. You have one that's Korean,
Half Korean,
one that's Japanese.
half Japanese. There's stories there,
Okay.
right?
And the other 2 children?
My son Gabriel he's American born, never met his father. He is of American Indian descent. His father is. And then my daughter Leah, she's she's my muse. She inspired what I will be doing on the finale for one of my special dishes. And she's becoming so much like me. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, being the baby and being the only girl.
Right.
Life is good for Leah.
Yeah, so
she's probably quite spoiled.
Not a day that passes that my oldest and my youngest, I call them my bookends. They text me every day. They call every day. My 2 boys in the middle have beautiful families, and they've given me my grandchildren, so they're busy. So.
Right. Well, I think I was talking with my hairdresser yesterday, and we tend to tell the hairdresser things we don't tell anybody else because they don't know our friends, whatever. And I think back to Warren Beatty and the movie Shampoo. Remember that one? That goes back, kids. Let's talk about your book, Muffin Madness. That is your most current cookbook, and these recipes are not on your website, maybe 1 or 2.
All right. This is Muffin Madness, and this I'm never sure where the camera is on here. This is there is not a cookbook like this on the planet. I've looked. Being a single mom, it was important to me to be able to feed my kids healthy food, and I had a beauty salon in the house, so I'm working full time. And I found a way to take everything that's possible that could be healthy and shove it into a muffin so that there was always either snacks or something that they could take with them. And I've got tahini muffin tops. I've got spanakopita muffins in here. I have leftover rice. When you've got leftover rice from a Chinese restaurant, I've devised a recipe in here with cheesy rice leftovers. Cheeseburger muffins. I mean, it's crazy. But
okay. So everybody, just a reminder, anything you want to know about Robin, except whether she won the show or not, that's not till tomorrow. Everything you want to know, and then we've talked about here, your links are on Whisk and Dine, WhiskandDine.com. The links are right there. And if you're on, you'll find her on all the links to TikTok, to Instagram, to Pinterest, to Facebook, to Twitter. Are you on Twitter too?
I came back on Twitter.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
All right. Another cookbook you did was The World on My Plate, which sort of holds up that I think you said that every meal is every meal tells a visual story.
I created this as probably mostly my Mediterranean kind of recipes, and I designed this to be it's a plate about the size of a tapas plate. We grew up with what they call mezea. Greeks will call it mezadakia. Now we know it as tapas. It's kind of like appetizers. And in my growing up years, you would always spread a table with all kinds of small plates of things. And it wasn't just sit down to one big meal. You would have all sorts of dips from eggplant and tahini dips and little tiny amounts of beef and things on skewers, and they go onto either a grill on your stove or a little kebab stick or a hibachi. And I designed this to be a book that would really tell a lot about the type of food I grew up with, but it's got a lot of stories in here about family and how certain recipes were retained in our family. So that was my first one.
Okay. And just the Great American Recipe Competition on PBS, they do dig into everyone's home stories and family stories. And as you said, I think you're forewarning people to have tissues ready for the finale, which is tomorrow. And of course, you can't tell us
Yeah.
jack about it because you're under contract to keep your mouth zipped.
Yes,
And
except not for anything you might think.
okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's see. What's next for Robin Daumit?
I really want to get into the production. I'd love to be the next either Martha Stewart, Julia Child. I'd love to be able to combine the ability to talk with people about things that are meaningful to the heart, and all while having what we all love is something delicious in front of us. Food is a wonderful lure that brings people to the table. But once we're all there, that's where the real stories about life happen. Or the hairdressers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the best thing that I remember, growing up. My parents, well, not that we had cell phones in that time, but there was no TV, no newspaper. You sat around the table and you talked about your day.
Yeah.
And sitting around the family table as a family unit, I felt love. So when I eating is love to me. The more people I have around the table and conversation, the happier I am. So to put it out there to the universe that you are looking for an entertainment agent.
Yes.
So to contact Robin,
okay.
You can reach her through the website, and she has some fabulous ideas, something new, something fresh, and let's do that. So now we're at my questions that I love to ask at the end of the show.
Okay.
What was your best bite this week?
I think I already showed you. It was the cucumber soup.
Okay, okay.
This sort of happened this week.
All right. If you wake up tomorrow with a new talent, you already have the director and film thing. So we're going to set that aside. We know you do that. If you wake up tomorrow with a new talent, what would it be?
Inventing something that will lock us into a time of our life where we feel the healthiest and the happiest, and maybe make us stay there.
I go for that. Okay. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Never take the word doubt into your vocabulary throughout your life. Leave it out. It's not a word you're allowed to use ever.
You shouldn't doubt yourself. You shouldn't doubt others.
Question others maybe just to make sure everything is safe and real, but yourself. You know yourself. You don't always know anyone else the way you know yourself. So
don't doubt yourself.
Doubt yourself. Don't doubt what that little voice inside of you that helps to guide you. Those little ideas that come to you and you're not sure how they came to you. You follow them. They may lead you somewhere. Don't doubt.
Right. What was your epic culinary fail? I'm sure there's only been one. So
I hope this doesn't come across as being arrogant, but I can honestly tell you that if I have an epic culinary fail, I'm really good at repurposing things, so I could figure out a way to flip it into something else.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. We've all done that. I remember doing an apple tartare, and it was supposed to flip it and turn out beautiful, but it just didn't come together. So I chopped it up and I put it in bowls and put ice cream on it.
There you go. Repurpose it.
Everybody loved it. They didn't know what they were supposed to get.
Only you did.
Okay. Just a reminder to people, you don't want to miss the finale tomorrow night, PBS, 9 p.m., The Great American Recipe. Watch Robin, Fu, and Sylvia battle it out for King of the Mountain or Queen of the Mountain or whatever it is going to be. I guess bragging rights and maybe a bouquet of flowers. We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Robin, what didn't I ask you that I should have?
Oh, you're You're a wonderful interviewer. I'm sure that you and I could go to lunch and talk about a trillion other things, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
So I've done it. I've sat here and taken care of it. I can sit here and move my notes. I'm sure there's probably something I missed. Oh, I have to say, who was it? Dan, the Italian cook?
Yes.
He didn't have a lot of luck with that food processor.
Oh, wait till the finale comes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think he left the ghost of the food processor in the kitchen for me.
Well, we all know equipment. I think there's, I'm sure whoever supplied the food processor is one of the sponsors, so we will not naysay anything.
They were good, but we used them hard. And we're working at a pace different than home. We're working with equipment that's not ours, that we're used to. So, when you're working under stress like that, you make work your equipment a lot harder than you might at home. So.
Right. So, but I just remember Dan, but you didn't cut yourself like anybody else did, or should I wait until?
Knock on wood, I have to say, all the times I've been on television, I haven't cut myself and I haven't burned myself. So.
Yay. All right, everyone. Let's say our fond farewells to Robin and wish her all Godspeed and hope that tomorrow with the finale that we can say we knew her when. And but congratulations on making the finale. And we look forward to seeing you on PBS tomorrow at 9 p.m. The Great American Recipe. Robin, was and lunch. We know we're going to do it. And I am going to just wrap up with some notes.
Okay.
All right, everyone. She was one of numerous gold medals winners in the worldwide competition, one being the ACF Culinary Olympic team in Basel, Switzerland, Salon Culinaire Mondial, gold and silver medals, ACF gold medal at the Regional Pastry Chef of the Year, member of the U.S. Culinary team in Erfurt, Germany, Culinary Olympics, 2 golds and 1 silver, an artist in blown sugar and a confectioner. The British transplant has her own fine chocolate shop called Elizabeth Moore Chocolates. Next week's guest is Chef Susan Nutter. We're very excited to have Susan on the show. Such a talent. She has her chocolate shop now down in Georgia, but has been an instructor and guide to all the culinary teams in the European competitions. If you need to reach me, you can reach me at my email, which is food@jmoreliving.com, or Instagram @DaraCooks. All shows are immediately archived in video form on J More Living's Facebook page and jmoreliving.com. Feel free to dig into the past shows, listen when you're taking your walks, your runs, drives, if you're sitting by the pool. We truly appreciate when you share the show with your friends and family. Be kind, smile, say hello to people, keep it bright and sunny, and as always, may your plates remain full.